say why you're drawn to meditation. Just why you're drawn to meditation. And we can start. I'll start. Hi. And we'll go this way in a winding snake-like pattern. No, we'll go this way and around, and this. We'll figure it out. I'm John. I got drawn to meditation many years ago, and the reason why I'm drawn to meditation is because it's the only place that I've ever really found rest. I'm going to say, yeah, that's the only place I've ever felt free and rested. And I guess, I don't know, like me.
My name is Sharon, and I was drawn to meditation because the first time I read about it, it seemed to have the potential to answer a lot of questions that I've had like my whole life. So.
Oh, okay. I'm Amanda. I was drawn to meditation because it helps me to feel grounded and helps me to know myself better.
I'm Joyce, and I am kind of like a spiritual junkie, so I'd like to meditate to know the mind of God.
I'm Sandra, and I began to this thing of meditation because I'm vegetarian, and I'm trying to turn like more vegan, and I was searching and watching YouTube videos, and I think that now I just wanted some like inner peace, I think, and I began to meditate, and I realized how bad my body was, my mind was. Like I have like many pain, like in my back, and I just realized like how bad we are, like in the society. So.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm Joanna, and I'm drawn to meditation because it helps me have more positive thoughts and feel more positive and grounded overall.
Hi, I'm Pavel. I like to meditate just to reach my goals.
I'm Yeju, and I was drawn to meditation because my partner committed suicide earlier this year, and meditation was something that we had shared prior to that. And what I find is that when I meditate, it's a space that we still share, and it's also a space of serenity and ease.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name's Michael. I fell into meditation when I was really sick. Yeah, my health was really suffering at that time. And I keep meditating because I feel like I'm connected. I think for the longest time I was kind of disconnected from my mind, my body, everything. So when I meditate, I feel like I'm connected to myself.
Christine, I like to meditate quietness and connectedness, and I love it. Good peace.
I'm Credence, and I find meditation is a very powerful tool that I can use to accomplish a lot in my life. And it's something that I've used for a while, but in the past year I've gotten distracted as I've been very busy, so I find that the idea of having a group here is helpful to encourage myself to get back in alignment.
Yeah, it's helpful. That's great. Thank you.
I'm Marge, and I was introduced to meditation about 3 years ago, and I am drawn to it because it's an amazing practice, and it just, for me, just to calm my mind and find peace, and that's why I meditate.
I concur with Marge. I'm Alvaro, and I will add that it has helped me to support others to be happy as well.
I'm Carol, and I seek freedom from suffering and focus of attention.
I'm Sylvia, relatively new to meditation in this form, not just the group form, but the purposeful meditation, and I was drawn to it. So to listen to the silence instead of the words.
I don't know about you, but did you feel everything get quieter? As, you know? And you know how often we have been doing these prostrations at the beginning of class? From my point of view, that like was a prostration. That was us talking about the good qualities of meditation, was like bowing down to meditation. You know, bowing down to the potential that's there. The limitless potential that's there. So let's do a brief meditation to start, and then we'll go on to something else after that. I thought it would be fun because last time we did the first chapter of this book, we're going to do the second chapter today. Because it's poignant and I think timely right now for a lot of people. So we'll begin. So the posture that you want to take is going to be a posture that is comfortable for you. And this won't be long. And you'll find that some people are much more comfortable in a chair. Some people are comfortable on the floor. Do you like a chair? You're good. Okay. So we'll begin by turning inward, closing the eyes. You don't have to close the eyes, but I find it's helpful to close the eyes. And begin to first get yourself grounded in your body by using the body that is grounded. So you're using your body that is naturally grounded as a way to ground your mind, as a way to pull yourself into the present moment. So begin to focus on the sensations, the physical sensations that you feel in your body, wherever it is that your body is connected to the earth. So your ankles, thighs, seat of your body. Tune in to the feeling looking for sensation. And as your mind focuses on the sensation, the physical sensation, try to continuously discard the voice, the thought, the mental image that's associated with that feeling. Like it might be a picture of your ankles, it might be a picture of your palms resting on your legs. It might be a thought that says, oh, that's my hand on my leg. That's the feeling of my hand on my leg. That, in this case, that would be a distraction. And that will diminish your experience of the ever-changing sensation. It will be like a veil. Now begin to pay attention to your posture as we move on to the next phase. And let's do this by taking a nice deep in-breath. And with the in-breath, drawing the crown towards the sky. And as you exhale, allowing the shoulders to relax, the heart to slightly lift, the jaw to relax, face to relax. And you may feel that you've shifted into this more of a open, awake pose in a way. In anticipation. Very key is relaxation. So you want to have your spine as straight as possible, but also at the same time being comfortable. Also very important is the inner relaxation, and what will help that is putting on a little smile, a gentle smile, which will also help relax the jaw. And you may notice that it actually brightens up your inside. Now begin focusing on the expansion and contraction of the belly as it moves with the natural breath. Just the belly alone, not making any attempt to change the breath. And here again, the object of meditation here is the physical sensation of the belly expanding and contracting, following the flow of the breath. And again, doing your best to discard the mental image associated with the feeling, like that's my belly, the picture of your belly in your mind. So that you directly have the experience of the feeling pulling you into the now. find it helpful, you can visualize or imagine discarding the mental image or the thought on the exhale, and then reinvigorating your focus on the feeling on the inhale. And that way, each individual breath cycle is one cycle of meditation. You get another chance every single time you breathe. Now we're going to move to a more subtle object, drawing the mind's focus up into the nostrils. So now you're fine-tuning your focus, seeking physical sensation as the breath passes the nostrils, in and out. And all the same rules apply. It's physical sensation alone. Every once in a while, take a little scan of your body for tension. Is there tension between your eyebrows? Are you furrowing your brow? Is there tension in the shoulders? Is anything getting coiled up? And if it is, which it will from time to time, inhale golden light around the tension on your next inhale, and then just melt it away on the breath, on the exhale. There's nothing helpful about tension in meditation. Now shift your awareness, your focus, to sounds that you hear. So here is a little interesting leap where you leave the breath sensation and move to hearing sensation. And again, you're doing your best to drop the dialogue that may be popping up about the sound. And simply experience the sound, fresh. Each new moment is a new experience. See if you can drop any idea of there being a border between you and the sound. That it's not that the sound is coming in. It's more like you are having a sound experience. present you can be with the sound, the more you will have the experience of the sound, of the actual reality of the sound, the naked experience of the sound. Which may feel like free falling as you continuously drop the label of the story. Being with the all-over experience, mind and body. Now tune into this sound and try to notice the exact moment that the sound that this sound stops and there is silence. Try and detect the exact moment and then stay with that silence. Now stay tuned into that silence that's within you. As you release the meditation, but we try to, in a relaxed way, hold on to that centered silence. And we'll slowly return to the room, gently opening the eyes. Taking your time, never rushing out of meditation. Maybe we should open the door, maybe to release some of the heat. I don't know, it's just heating up the room. It's a very great method. It's having some kind of bell or something around that you can ring and really try to hear the end. And there's something that can happen in the mind. You can just, it's like an assist. Will pull you into a place in the mind that's very quiet. And then you can try to stay actually tuned into that quiet. So last week we read, this is like everyone that's here that doesn't know us, it's a kind of a new thing that we haven't done this before, but I read a chapter out of a book and inspired by just how true it is. And the author's name is Michael Singer, right? And just a quick backstory. Early in his life, he was hanging out with a friend on a couch, just talking, and then he had this sudden awakening moment where he recognized that there was a voice in his head that never shut up. And it was always commenting, this constant commentary. And it's not, he didn't have this experience and have a moment of, oh, there's this voice going on. It kept going. So he kept noticing there was like two people. There was him that was experiencing the voice and the voice. And we went through the chapter last week, and that was fun. And he's talking about the chatter that most everyone has in their head, and their voice, a voice in their head. And there's some funny things he says in there, like if you're saying I don't have that voice, that's that voice. That's the voice he's talking about. You all know this voice. And we're going to go into the second chapter now. And this is really important because this is, well, we'll just go into it. Because there's an aspect in meditation, and there's an aspect of your life that if we want freedom from our mental anguish, which causes all our suffering really, we have to develop this witness state of mind. And without this witness state of mind, the witness state of mind is the doorway to the next big adventure. It's not the end all be all, but we have to have developed that in order to get to the next place. So, and I'm not worried about anyone not relating to this, because it will be relative. The chapter 2 is called Your Inner Roommate, and the book is called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Your inner growth is completely dependent upon the realization that the only way to find peace and contentment is to stop thinking about yourself. You're ready to grow when you finally realize that the I, who is always talking inside, will never be content. It always has a problem with something. Honestly, when was the last time you really had nothing bothering you? Before you had your current problem, there was a different problem. And if you're wise, you'll realize that after this one's gone, there will be another one. The bottom line is, you'll never be free of problems until you are free from the part within that has so many problems. When a problem is disturbing you, don't ask, what should I do about it? Ask, what part of me is being disturbed by this? If you ask, what should I do about it? You've already fallen into believing that there really is a problem outside that must be dealt with. If you want to achieve peace in the face of your problems, you must understand why you perceive a particular situation as a problem. if you're feeling jealousy, instead of trying to see how you can protect yourself, just ask, what part of me is jealous? That will cause you to look inside and see that there's part of you that's having a problem with jealousy. Once you clearly see the disturbed part, then ask, who is it that sees this? Who notices this inner disturbance? Asking this is a solution to your every problem. Now, think about that for a second. So, asking this is a solution to your every problem. Now, wouldn't that be great, to solve your every problem? So, as long as we are continuously not asking that question, we're just going to surf from problem to problem to problem and not ever really solving the only problem. The very fact that you can see the disturbance means you are not it. The process of seeing something requires a subject-object relationship. The subject is called the witness, because it is the one who sees what's happening. The object is what you are seeing. In this case, the inner disturbance. This act of maintaining objective awareness of the inner problem is always better than losing yourself in the outer situation. This is the essential difference between a spiritually minded person and a worldly person. So worldly doesn't mean that you have money or stature. Worldly means that you think the solution to your inner problems is in the world outside. And many of you who have been meditating for a while and have it marked on a spiritual path, and really anyone who's had any success at meditation, there is a point in time in your life, in your practice, when this changes. When you have this direct knowing that all my perceived problems are within myself. How I am associating this experience with this problem, with this situation, no matter what the situation is. It's not that the situation itself, it may be an ugly situation, it may be a good situation, but even being attached to the good situation and thinking the good situation is the cause of your happiness is still like a spiritual problem. It's a spiritual obstacle. So at some point in time, and I'm sure many of you in this room have already had this experience, where the questions that you ask in your mind are no longer about how do I fix this thing in the world. It's more like, how do I deal with this in my inner mind? How do I use this as a path to enlightenment? How do I use this as a path to my freedom versus how do I use this, to get rich, whatever it might be that you're thinking, right? So you think that if you change things outside you, you'll be okay. But nobody has ever truly become okay by changing things outside. There's always the next problem. The only real solution is to take the seat of witness consciousness and completely change your frame of reference. It's all about your frame of reference. To attain true inner freedom, you must be able to objectively watch your problems instead of being lost in them. No solution can possibly exist while you're lost in the energy of a problem. We said that last time, right? The same consciousness that's caused the problem can't be the consciousness that fixes the problem. It can't happen. Everyone knows you can't deal well with the situation if you're getting anxious, scared, or angry about it. The first problem you have to deal with is your own reaction. You will not be able to solve anything outside until you own how the situation affects you inside. Problems are generally not what they appear to be. When you get clear enough, you'll realize that the real problem is that there is something inside of you that there is something inside of you that can have a problem with almost anything. The first step is to deal with that part of you. This involves a change from the outer solution consciousness to the inner solution consciousness. So this is this very significant moment in your spiritual career, is when you make the switch from outer solution consciousness to inner solution consciousness. This is like two different people, two very different people having two very different experiences and in two very different worlds, right? Because it's only our world that we can fix. And it just so happens that the world we see is the world that we're in. So you have to break the habit of thinking that the solution to your problems is to rearrange things outside. The only permanent solution to your problems is to go inside and let go of the part of you that seems to have so many problems with reality. Once you do that, you'll be clear enough to deal with what's left over. What's left. There really is a way to let go of the part of you that sees everything as a problem. It may seem impossible, but it's not. There is a part of your being that can actually abstract from your own melodrama. You can watch yourself be jealous or angry. You don't have to think about it or analyze it. You can just be aware of it. Who is it that sees all this? Who notices the changes going on inside? When you tell a friend, every time I talk to Tom, it gets me so upset. That was funny. Every time I talk to Tom, it gets me so upset. How do you know it gets you upset? You know that it gets you upset because you're in there and you see what's going on in there. There's a separation between you and the anger or the jealousy. You are the one who's in there noticing these things. Once you take that seat of consciousness, you can get rid of these personal disturbances. You start by watching. Just be aware that you're aware of what is going on in there. It's easy. He says it's easy. And so when we're doing our meditation practices, every single time that you're distracted and you're off your object, and you recognize the fact that you're off your object, every single time you make the conscious choice to come back to the object, you are exercising those muscles and you are gaining the ability, in that moment, you are gaining the ability to start watching. If we are unable to watch and unable to stay watching, we've lost the object. That's as simple as that. We've lost the object. And we've gotten taken by the story, which is just the same as being in meditation and breathing, and then you're watching your breath, and all of a sudden, you're remembering some holiday you had 2 years ago, and you're on the beach. And then you're like, whoa, you come back and I was meditating on the breath. It's the same thing. It just happens to be that you're in waking life doing it. What you'll notice is that you're watching a human being's personality with all its strengths and weaknesses. It's as though there's somebody in there with you. You might actually say you have a roommate. If you would like to meet your roommate, just try to sit inside yourself for a while in complete solitude and silence. If anyone's been on retreat in this room, you'll know what it's like to meet your inner roommate. You have the right. It's your inner domain. But instead of finding silence, you're going to listen to incessant chatter. Why am I doing this? I have more important things to do. This is a waste of time. There's nobody in here but me. What's this all about? Right on cue, there's your roommate. You may have a clear intention to be quiet inside, but your roommate will not cooperate. And it's not just when you try to be quiet, it is something to say about everything you look at. I like it, I don't like it, this is good, that's bad. It just talks and talks and talks. You don't generally notice because you don't step back from it. You're so close to it that you don't realize that you're actually hypnotized into listening to it. Basically, you're not alone in there. There are two distinct aspects of your inner being. The first is you, the awareness, the witness, the center of your willful intentions, and the other is that which you watch. The problem is, the part of you that you watch never shuts up. If you could get rid of that part, even for a moment, the peace and serenity would be the nicest vacation you've ever had. Imagine what it would be like if you didn't have to bring this thing with you everywhere you go. Real spiritual growth is about getting out of this predicament. But first, you have to realize that you've been locked in there with a maniac. In any situation or circumstance, your roommate could suddenly decide, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk to this person. You would immediately feel tense and uncomfortable. Your roommate can ruin anything you're doing without a moment's notice. It can ruin your wedding day, or even your wedding night. That part of you can ruin anything and everything, and it generally does. You buy a brand new car, and it's beautiful, but every time you drive it, your inner roommate finds something wrong with it. The mental voice keeps pointing out every little squeak, every little vibration, until eventually you don't even like the car anymore. Once you see what this can do to your life, you are ready for spiritual growth. You're ready for real transformation when you finally say, look at this thing, it's ruining my life. I'm trying to live a peaceful, meaningful existence, but I feel like I'm sitting on top of a volcano. At any moment, this thing can decide to freak, close down, and fight with what's happening. One day it likes someone, and next day it decides to pick on everything they do. My life is a mess just because this thing that lives in here with me has to make a melodrama out of everything. Once you've seen this and learned to no longer identify with your roommate, you're ready to free yourself. If you haven't reached this awareness yet, just start to watch. Spend a day watching every single thing your roommate does. See, now this would be a good day-long retreat. You decide, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, do everything I do. I'm not going to, contact anybody. I'm going to turn off my phone, shut my computer down, and I'm just going to discover this roommate that I have in my head and see what happens. That would be a powerful day, I think, if you haven't done something like that already. Spend a day watching every single thing your roommate does. Start in the morning and see if you can notice what it's saying in every situation. Okay, well, he's saying you're leaving the house. Every time you meet somebody, every time the phone rings, just try to watch. A good time to watch it talk is while you're taking a shower. Just watch what the voice has to say. You will see that it never lets you just take a peaceful shower. Your shower is for washing the body, not for watching the mind talk nonstop. See if you can stay conscious enough throughout the entire experience to be aware of what's going on. You'll be shocked by what you see. It just jumps from one subject to the next. The incessant chatter seems so neurotic that you won't believe that it's always that way, but it is. You have to watch this if you want to be free of it. You don't have to do anything about it. This is crucial. You don't, because you can't actually do anything about it. If anyone here has tried, you know you can't squeeze the thing and strangle it or anything. It eventually just loses steam by observing it. That's the power that you have. You don't have to do anything about it, but you have to get wise to the predicament you're in. You have to realize that somehow you've ended up with a mess for an inner roommate. If you want it to be peaceful in there, you're going to have to fix this situation. The way to catch on to what your inner roommate is really like is to personify it externally. Make believe that your roommate, the psyche, has a body of its own. You do this by taking the entire personality that you hear talking to you inside and imagine it as a person talking to you on the outside. Just imagine that another person is now saying everything that your inner voice would say. And now spend a day with that person. You just sat down to watch your favorite TV show. The problem is, you have this person with you. Now you'll get to hear the same incessant monologue that used to be inside, except that it's sitting next to you on the couch talking to itself. Did you turn off the light downstairs? You better go check. Not now, I'll do it later. I want to finish watching the show. No, do it now. That's why the electric bill is so high. You sit in silent awe, watching all of this. Then, a few seconds later, your couchmate is engaged in another dispute. Hey, I want to get something to eat. I'm craving some pizza. No, you can't have pizza now. It's too far to drive. But I'm hungry. When will I get to eat? To your amazement, these neurotic bursts of conflicting dialogue just keep going on and on. And as if that's not enough, instead of simply watching TV, this person starts verbally reacting to whatever comes on the screen. At one point, after a redhead appears on the show, your couchmate starts mumbling about an ex-spouse and a painful divorce. Then the yelling starts, just as though the ex-spouse were in the room with you. Then it stops as suddenly as it started. At this point, you find yourself hugging the far corner of the couch in a desperate attempt to get as far away from this disturbed person as you possibly can. Will you dare to do this experiment? Don't try to make the person stop talking. Just try to get to know what you live with inside by externalizing the voice. Give it a body and put it out there in the world just like everybody else. Let it be a person who says on the outside exactly what the voice of your mind says inside. Now make that person your best friend. After all, how many friends do you spend all of your time with and pay absolute attention to every word they say? How would you feel if someone outside really started talking to you the way your inner voice does? How would you relate to a person who opened their mouth to say everything your mental voice says? After a very short period of time, you would tell them to leave and never come back. But when your inner friend continuously speaks up, you don't tell it to leave. No matter how much trouble it causes, you listen. There's almost nothing that voice can say that you don't pay full attention to. It pulls you right out of whatever you're doing, no matter how enjoyable, and suddenly you're paying attention to whatever it has to say. Imagine that you're in a serious relationship and are about to get married. You're driving to the wedding and it says, maybe this is not the right person. I'm really getting nervous about this. What should I do? If someone outside of you said that, you'd ignore them. But you feel you owe the voice an answer. You have to convince your nervous mind that this is the right person, or it won't let you walk down the aisle. Remember last time we talked about this voice last time, and the mistake that we make in trying to figure out which one of those voices is the real you. You see? This and that is big trouble, because none of them are. None of them are. You have to convince your nervous mind that this is the right person, or it won't let you walk down the aisle. That's how much respect you have for this neurotic thing inside of you. You know that if you don't listen to it, it will bother every day of your life. I told you not to get married. I said I wasn't sure. The bottom line is undeniable. If somehow that voice managed to manifest in a body outside of you, and you had to take it with you everywhere you went, you wouldn't last a day. If somebody were to ask you what your new friend is like, you'd say, this is one seriously disturbed person. Just look up neurosis in the dictionary and you'll get the picture. That being the case, once you spent a day with your friend, what is the probability you go to them for advice? After seeing how often this person changed their mind, how conflicted they were on so many subjects, and how emotionally overreactive they tended to be, would you ever ask them for relationship or financial advice? As amazing as it seems, you do. just that, every moment of your life, having taken its rightful place back inside of you, it is still the same person who tells you what to do about every aspect of your life. Have you ever bothered to check its credentials? How many times has that voice been totally wrong? She doesn't care for you anymore. That's why she hasn't called. She's going to break up with you tonight. I can feel it coming. The breakup's coming. I just know it. You shouldn't even answer the phone if she calls. After 30 minutes of this, the phone rings. It's your girlfriend. She's late because it's your 1-year anniversary, and she was preparing for a surprise dinner. It was definitely a surprise to you since you completely forgot the anniversary. She says she's on her way to pick you up. Well, you're very excited, and your inner voice is chatting about how great she is. But haven't you forgotten something? Haven't you forgotten about the bad advice the inner voice gave you that caused you to suffer for that last half hour? What if you had hired a relationship advisor who had given you that terrible advice? They had completely misread the entire situation. Had you listened to the advisor, you never would have picked up the phone. Wouldn't you fire them on the spot? How could you ever trust their advice again after seeing how wrong they were? Well, are you going to fire your inner roommate? After all, its advice and analysis of the situation were totally wrong. No, you never hold it responsible for the trouble it causes. In fact, the next time it gives advice, you're all ears. Is that rational? How many times has that voice been wrong about what's been going on or what will be going on? Maybe it's worth noticing whom you're going to for advice. When you've sincerely tried these practices of self-observation and awareness, you'll see that you're in trouble. You'll realize that you've only had one problem your entire life and you're looking at it. It's pretty much the cause of every problem you've ever had. Now the question becomes, how do you get rid of this inner troublemaker? The first thing you realize is that there's no hope of getting rid of it until you really want to. Until you've watched your roommate long enough to truly understand the predicament you're in, you really have no basis for practices that help you deal with the mind. Once you've made the decision to free yourself from the mental melodrama, you are ready for teachings and techniques, and you will now have a real use for them. And you'll be relieved to know that you are not the first person to have this problem. So, yeah, we have to distance ourselves from this voice if we want to break into true freedom. So let's have a little break, and then we'll do a meditation, and that'll be our day together. So stand up, shake it off, and oh yes.
Say water like
I opened the envelope and pulled the book out and looked at it and thought, what? That was that voice. It's ridiculous.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. That's a good observation about it.
And it's madness.
Would you like some water or something? You could come up and sit like this.
meditation you just did, do you think it would be too advanced to teach that to my work? Because I did the meditations last week on Friday, the morning and afternoon class, and I started reading off this really simple script, and halfway through I just scrapped it and
Yeah.
started doing shamatha.
Yeah. No, it's
Because it just seems like a no-brainer to just go straight to that.
Yeah.
And
it's not too advanced.
it's not too advanced to get them to do the stomach, the nostrils, the bodily sensations, and then the sound.
Yep. No, because that's one of the greatest things about it. Because it's like right there, it's accessible. So everyone's got it.
And to keep doing it over and over again, like, same thing.
Yeah, until it's like you'll know when to give them more.
Yeah.
And there'll be some people that can catch on quicker, and some people will be having a hard time with it, and and it'll, I mean, they may come to you and ask you questions and stuff like that, and you'll find out then they'll be able to kind of get a idea of how distracted they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say one other thing while you're here.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that I want to teach a class
Mhm.
the Tibetan 5 rites.
Okay.
Do you know that?
Oh, those actions, the body actions. Yeah, I have a video that my mom gave me years ago. There's this cool things where you do these small, but
You do. There are 5 rites, and they're different. Like the first one's spinning round.
Yeah.
The second one is legs.
Yeah.
And you build up to 21 over a period of time.
Yeah,
I've been doing them for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm noticing a massive difference in my body.
Yeah.
I actually need less sleep now, and I'm just not yawning anymore. I feel warm instead of cold feet and hands, and there's changes happening.
Yeah.
I just feel more, I don't know, like, and I started to teach them to my work colleagues at lunchtimes.
Yeah.
And I've taught them before a few years ago to a group of friends, and I just feel like I just want people to know about them because I think people could really benefit. And yoga can be so overwhelming. It is yoga really, but the idea of 5 different moves that somebody can do in like 15 minutes every morning before they go to work,
Yeah.
and that it hits every chakra system and every like gland in the body.
Mhm.
I think
Well, if you're inspired to
I feel
teach it,
inspired
then
to
that's
teach
the
it.
reason to teach it.
Yeah, so it's just like where and
Well, you could set up. Do you mean on a regular basis or a workshop?
well actually it would be more like a kind of work. It's not something I would do regularly because it's about teaching the people and then they go off and do it.
I'll tell you how you get a workshop happening like that is you tell Mariska you want to do a workshop, and you can get one happening at Open Door.
Okay.
Yeah, you just tell her you want to do these Tibetan 5 rites, and she'll find a date that you're happy with, and
Yeah.
get a poster happening, and next thing you know, they'll be up in the studios.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Then you'll have to do.
doing
Once
it.
the poster's up, you can't go back.
No, I know. I've been doing that kind of thing with myself, and you just gotta dare yourself, right?
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Get the poster up,
Okay.
even if you're not ready.
I'm gonna do it.
And then you'll figure it out very quickly.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you live around here, Credence?
I was trying to find
Coquitlam.
Coquitlam? You drove here?
Not that bad.
What's that?
Not that bad.
Not bad, right? What'd you do? Take
No, I think I wrote it down.
Barnett?
No, I'm
No, number 1.
on the other, number 1 on the
Yeah.
other side of Coquitlam.
Yeah, it's actually amazing how quick you can get here from that.
Well, once you're on the highway, it's only
Yeah.
5 minutes, really.
Yeah.
The part that
Wow.
takes a while is once you get off the highway and you make it through the grid.
Yeah. True. Have you lived there for a long time? Coquitlam?
I think you can start.
I was on the drive up until just a couple months ago.
You got out of the drive?
And prior to that, I was in San Francisco for the last few years.
Oh yeah.
And
How's the hills?
know, a lot of people have a very inaccurate stereotype of Americans being fat. Well,
Yeah, of
depends
course,
on where
yeah.
you, but not in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
It's not possible to be fat in San Francisco because there's a lot of hills and it's a very pedestrian city. Because even though everyone drives, once you make it into the city, you park your car and you leave it there all day because you won't be able to find another parking spot.
Yeah.
So it's constantly walking everywhere and up and down those hills. It's a good place to be in shape.
Cool. I had my very first thin crust pizza in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is the way it should be.
Mhm.
More topping than crust.
Go to Matt's.
What's that?
Matt's is good.
Oh, nowadays it seems like everywhere you go, people are offering nice and
Matt's has really good thin crust pizza.
call everybody back before it's over.
I like that.
Isn't it? Yeah. I've got 3 of them. And this one, for whatever reason, really is really shrill and loud. And this room like instantaneously just explodes with sound. It's something about the shape of the room or something. Why don't you see you later?
See you later.
Have a nice night. So we'll do a meditation. And just before we do that, if you haven't noticed this voice in your head, and you're hearing this kind of thing for the first time, and even if it's not, you know, that voice is the reason to become very motivated to get on your cushion and try to watch it. And God, the beautiful thing about it is because if you start to realize it's there, it then gives you a meditation object all day long. You don't have to ever be without a meditation object. You can just notice this thing that's happening in your head. Notice it when, well, someone's talking to you. A really great listener has somehow managed to stop that voice and has somehow managed to be very present and just like waiting for the next word without that voice narrating, you know, interpreting, narrating, judging. This is one of the great benefits of becoming very still in the mind, because that voice diminishes to the point where it's not there anymore. Why? One of the reasons is because there's a part of the mind that then understands that life without the voice is just way better. It's way more interesting. Music is better. Conversations are better. People are more interesting. The moment is naked. And this voice is painting everything. It's just describing everything. It's being certain medias use that, like a jingle, for instance, an advertising jingle. that is they use that voice. They know about that voice, so that because the voice is always wants to say something. So you're like pizza toot 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 toot. It's like there's that voice. It's got something, and then next thing you know, you're like you want a pizza. You know, and just start to notice things like, do you need that voice to read? When you're reading a book, is the reason why reading is so pleasant is because finally that voice is actually cooperating with you. Finally that voice is actually doing what you're doing, which is narrating the story that you're reading. And maybe that's why it's like relaxing, because you don't have a battle going on. There's some unification, because the voice is, okay, we're doing this, we're reading, I'm involved, I need to be involved here. What if that voice also wasn't there while you're reading? Could it, right? It seems almost, what? Right? Try it. Notice how it feels in the body. Notice how your mind feels. Notice what happens in your breath if you actually turn off the narrator while you look at the word. Maybe there's meanings, maybe there are meanings. Maybe there's a meaning in the word that you never haven't seen yet, that the narrator has always been saying. See, the narrator is the assumer. The narrator assumes everything and tells you everything. It's like layering everything in its assumations. It knows everything about everything. The narrator is the one that as soon as you look at someone on the street, you instantly know all about them. You haven't met them before. You instantly like them or don't like them, and the narrator is calling all the shots. What if that wasn't happening? And what if you could notice that? Just notice it in the next week before we come together, and try to really tune into the feeling in your body when you try to shut off that voice. You're so used to it. Just notice what happens. What happens to your breathing? If someone's talking and you recognize that you've got this chatter, and then you just tune into them totally and try to stop the voice or ignore the voice and notice the difference. Anyway, that's all I'll say right now. So we should do meditation. So let's once again turn inward. It hasn't been long since we did a meditation, so tune into the echo of the last meditation. And this time we'll jump straight to the breath at the nostrils as a step into what we do next. Simply watching for physical sensation at the nostrils. Tuning into physical sensation, not changing the breath. recognize that you've ripped it off. Just release the object that you latched onto. Relax. Come back to the breath and have a joyful thought that you gained lucidity. A very important moment of training the mind to come back to its object. It's life-changing. Now let's get more subtle yet. Begin to focus on a pinpoint of white diamond light, a tiny droplet of light between your eyebrows and back towards the center of your head. Think that this tiny droplet of light is right in the center of your head and you're looking at it. It can be helpful to make this a more engaging object by seeing light hit it and refract colors. It's not a static thing, it's alive. So you focus on this beautiful little light. Can also be very helpful to get your breath involved with your focus. And you can do that by visualizing that the light itself is breathing in time with your breath. And that as you inhale, this tiny light gets a little brighter. And maybe it expands somewhat. And then as you exhale, maybe the glow dims slightly and it shrinks a little bit, just to keep it alive, keep it moving for the mind to look at. Like we did last week, come up with a phrase in your mind that you're going to use to make as your platform to doing like a watching of the thoughts, or like a Mahamudra watching of the thoughts. So you could use some kind of sentence or a couple of words together. Like, could be anything like wide ocean. And begin repeating that phrase very clearly and succinctly in your head. You're repeating that phrase. phrase is like a mantra, and it's the object of your meditation. You're looking at it, you're listening to it. As you repeat the phrase, notice that there is somebody that's hearing it. There's some part of you that is very quiet. And hears this phrase. Is aware of this phrase. Try to be aware of this watcher without commenting on it. Stay with your phrase. As you stay with the watcher, you may notice that another dialogue wants to happen about this watcher. This is that voice. The next step, when you feel ready, is stop the phrase, stay the witness, stay the watcher, and be aware of whatever words come next, whatever thoughts come next. Here's the key element. It is entirely not important what words come, what thoughts come. Just notice that they come. You're just watching them come and go. Losing your object of meditation, in this case, is going to be becoming interested in whatever the thought is, and then getting taken away on some kind of story. You're holding your ground as the witness, as the watcher. This may prove difficult. If you get swept away, or it just becomes overwhelming, go back to your original phrase and repeat the phrase as like a sanctuary you're returning to rest. Keep repeating the phrase, keep repeating the phrase. And if even that becomes overwhelming, then just take one more step backwards and just focus either on the light in the center of your head or the breath, either one. Gain your strength again in a way, and then return. Notice if your body has gotten tense. Relax while you're doing this. Notice if your brow has gotten furrowed. Relax the eyebrows. that this voice wants to distract the witness, has all kinds of things to say about it. You're not interested in the chatter. You're just aware of anything that comes. Anything that comes will arrive, will stay for a bit, and leave. The mind gets dark and dull, return to the breath. Reinvigorate on the breath. Slowly begin to release the meditation. Always, always very gently returning and doing your best to stay tuned into any kind of centered, silent feeling that you may have begun to relate to or come from. And try and relax there. Stay relaxed in that place as you emerge. Let's make a brief dedication. Let's just one more moment of prayer. So in your mind, decide that your efforts to become aware of the voice and gain mastery over it and associate more with the witness state of mind, that your efforts to do that would be of great benefit to yourself and many others. see that wish in your heart like a ball of light, and then it's light fills your body, and the light goes out and touches the hearts of thousands of beings in all directions. And in your mind, see them free of distraction. You see it and rejoice in their silence inside. And then the light returns to your heart. And that's the class. So you know, this, there may be many of you in this room that are like already past this point, but it's worth revisiting. This witness, gaining this witness. But try to think of this as the doorway. This is the doorway to the greatest adventure of your life. Because gaining the awareness of that voice, and then that voice stopping, and then stopping messing with you all the time, that's your door to all love and enlightenment, awakening, compassion. It's like once that is in place, it's like you're just going to be able to leap off into the next stages of your evolution as a being. Really, it's like that's where enlightenment, total awake, freedom, bliss, love is waiting for you there. But you can't get there. You can't get through that door, and you can't get there to soar in that sky unless you've stilled this place and you become aware of that voice. Okay. So have fun with that. Try not to let it make you too seasick. Yeah, have fun with it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't leave any time for questions, but maybe next time if people have questions, we can ask some questions.
There's some paper there that if you're new and you want to be on the mailing list, you need to just write your email address and then Joyce will
Yeah.
send out any messages and things.
And welcome.
Yeah.
New faces, thank you.
And we're going to Nachos at Foundation. Maybe next time.
Oh, nachos at the foundation, they're still open.
Till the 26th.
Oh.
And then
They're
closing.
closing?
Oh,
Oh no.
I know that.
Yeah, forever.
I saw that on Facebook.
Forever.
Saw that on
My
Facebook.
breasts are
Yes. What would it like to be eating nachos without that voice in your head? See, it's this like beautiful thing about it. You've got this an endless sea of opportunity of playing with that. Explain that some other time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And we're now bringing everything back to my office this time, because I think somebody's using that office, but when it came in, everything was in my office.
Thank you, everybody, for your lovely presents. Little gifts here. Coconut theme. I got coconut
It's in that
chocolate,
office.
coconut water.
It's in the office.
That's to share with me.